Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Lunch and Learn, our series of providing practical and relevant business advice to entrepreneurs out there and businesses all around. Coming to you from our offices here at ActionCOACH Business Coaching in Techno Park in Stellenbosch, and proud in collaboration with Rocco and Riley to again be presenting this workshop for you today, which is really designed around the name. During your lunchtime, quick get lunch. If you're in the Techno Park area, get it from Rocco and Riley. They'll deliver it to your desk. But over lunch, that you can really take a breather, take a step back, focus on your business and say, what is it that I need to do? So we've tackled with things like time management, team, and today, one of my favorite topics is sales, and we'll talk about even some of the next steps. So if you are part of this series, great, you'll be getting the reminders, everything like that. If not, and especially if you're listening on Facebook Live, go to impact.actioncoach.com. That's impact.actioncoach.com, and make sure you register for the events. Once you register once, you registered for the whole series that will take us through every second Tuesday at lunchtime from now until the end of the year. And our promise to you is to get you in and out on the learning part within your lunchtime, so that you can get back to work and you can implement immediately what it is that you've learned. You'll also see that for today, I've actually got my jacket on, which is different from the series for those of you that have attended before. And there's a reason for that, because that really comes into what is truly the definition of selling. And selling is this thing that people get so caught up in. And it comes from a lot of our nurturing, let's call it that. So I hear kind of words like, dirty salesman, snake oil salesman. And I don't like selling. But the reality is, selling is simply the act of professionally helping people to buy. Now, we all want to be professional, don't we? We all like helping other people, don't we? And nobody doesn't like buying. And I think that's the fundamental thing that you need to understand from sales, is that everybody loves to buy, but nobody likes to be sold to. That's the key distinction. We as humans love to buy, but we don't want to be sold to. So your role in sales is to professionally help people to buy. But Harry, I'm not a salesperson. I'm not good at sales. I've never liked sales. Rubbish. Absolute rubbish. You wouldn't be alive today as a human if you couldn't sell. It is truly a fundamental human ability, because we would have never been born if we didn't give our mother feedback. She ate a good curry, we gave her a kick in the ribs, and she knew not to do that again. We cried when we were hungry or uncomfortable. We went through the terrible two phase where we learned how to get our way or not, especially the older generation. The good adjustment sorted that out. But then we went to school and we had things like dog ate my homework. And we constantly found ways to professionally help people to buy into our stories. We would never have got a job. We would never have got a promotion. We've never gone on a date or got a boyfriend or girlfriend or got married or anything like that if we didn't have the ability to sell. And the reality is, no matter what your business is, if I put you in front of the right prospect, you will sell ice to Eskimo, as the saying goes. Because if you believe in your product and your service and you're sitting in front of the right person, you'll easily sell. Often it's the marketing that leads up to sitting in front of that right person that we don't really like, that we don't really understand. And there's a reason too why this session is sales and only next month is marketing. Because if you don't get the sales element right, you can keep generating leads, do marketing, and you won't convert that into clients. So if you get really good at selling, then you have to do less marketing. Notice I said less marketing, not no marketing. But if you get good at selling, you're able to convert leads. And that's why we're going to focus really today on how do you do that. Some really tips and tricks, and hopefully impart a lot of knowledge around that. So if we want to professionally help people to buy, what do you think the balance is? Emotion versus logic. When I'm looking to buy something and I'm considering your sales proposition, you're professionally helping me to buy, how much logic am I using versus how much emotion am I using? And the reality is, for humans, 80% of our buying decision is emotional. 80%. That's quite high. Because the reality is, nobody says, oh, logically, I think that this car will depreciate the least. The fuel consumption will be most optimal, and therefore, logically, I should buy that car. No, I love that car. I love those shoes. I love the kitchen. I love this home. It's emotional. We back up our decision logically, but we actually buy on emotion. So you have to, in a sales environment, either elicit that emotion or work through a process of gathering that emotion. Because the more you get that emotion and can back up a little bit of the balancing act, I love that car. Can I afford it? I love that motorbike. Will my wife allow me to buy it? Those good things that we go through. I love your product. I love your interaction. I love your service. I love the way you make me feel. But are you competitive in pricing? Will there be aftermarket service and backup? All the logic that comes into the play, but it's the emotion, getting to the emotion that we really need to do in that kind of sales environment. Let's understand old style selling versus new style selling. And you'll see that there's a trick even with that. So old style of selling, just draw a line here so you can see, was not so very much focused on the person. Building rapport, relationship, establishing trust. It was, hello, here I am. Let's go into a hard sell. Let's have closing techniques. Let's push. And therefore, we get the sale quite easily here. Follow-up's not that critical because I'll just repeat the process again when I need another sale. So in the old kind of format, you had a very small kind of diamond going on here with a big emphasis around selling, not so much on rapport building and follow-up. The reality is today it has changed, and we've gone from a diamond to kind of an hourglass. A lot of rapport building, getting to know the person, understanding their needs, establishing that trust, that likability factor. Once you've got that right, the selling almost happens automatically. And you'll see when we talk about the superpower of selling now, if you do that properly, it's quite simple to convert the prospects that you need. It's quite simple to take that rapport that you've built through a easy process of saying, well, how do we move forward? The trick thereafter is a lot of follow-up. Not just to get the business, but to nurture the business, to reinforce the buying decision, and of course to get repeat business, because that's ultimately what we all want. I love it when people say to me, oh, my business works on referrals and word of mouth. Fantastic. The cheapest marketing you can get, and most of the sale is done for you. But here's the trick. What do you actually do to get referrals? What do you actually do to get word of mouth? And the reality for a lot of businesses is nothing. Diddly squat, zero. Because we hope and pray that when I wake up today and open up my business, somebody else is going to refer somebody to me. That's never going to happen. Because if there's not that follow-up, if you're not front of mind, if there isn't a facilitated process to elicit referrals and word of mouth, you actually then end up just focusing on the terrible kind of reality that you work on, hope and pray, which I definitely don't want you to do. So remember, we're not wanting to have a diamond as a focus. We're wanting to have an hourglass, a lot of rapport building, trust building, understanding of the customer. Then the selling almost happens automatically. And then the critical follow-up is the piece thereafter that you want to ensure that you're doing well and often in the process. So I spoke about that sales superpower. What is it? Is it that some people are better than others? Is there a specific course that you can take? And the true reality is no. There's just something that we actually were good at as a toddler, but kind of forgot. Now, we've evolved in the words maybe, but your superpower as a salesperson is a question. You need to get good at asking questions, because that's when we're taking a product, a service that we have, the need of the client, and we're building the bridge between the two. We're professionally helping somebody to buy because their need can be serviced through our product or our service. It's a question, not just the badgering, why mom, why dad, why mom, why dad. No, not that. But getting good at asking questions. So the first thing I want you to do is write down 15 words. Sounds extreme? Not so extreme. Ask every single human you interact with as potential client these 15 words. So that I may serve you better. So that I may serve you better. Doesn't that sound good? Who's going to say no? You want to serve me better. So that I may serve you better. Would you mind asking permission if I ask you a few questions? So that I may serve you better, would you mind if I ask you a few questions? Absolutely, go for it. Because now I'm going to be served better. You're going to ask me a few questions. A lot of people actually like to talk. They actually like to give feedback. I didn't say badger you with 100 questions. Ask you a few questions because I want to establish a need. So I'll give you a hot off the press example. Yesterday, kept getting this phone call. And I always tell my wife, dear, if you don't answer the call center, the predictive dialing just keeps phoning you until they get hold of you. So eventually I realized it was probably a call center answered, and into the typical script and talk. No questions. Eventually I said, listen, what are you actually trying to sell me? No, but this, but that, but never asking me a question to establish the need. Never. Just assuming that what they were badgering me with was going to be relevant and I would want to buy it. No, thank you. So I want to get good at asking questions. When I'm asking you questions, it looks like I care. It looks like and sounds like and feels like all the learning modalities that I actually am tailor-making something for you. I'm first trying to understand if you actually have the need before I build the bridge to my product. And that's why we love to hate call center agents, because they're not establishing that need up front. They're just trying to push their product. So ask questions. So I'll give you an example, practical one. We've all done it at some stage. You bought tires for your car. So you phone up one dealership or agent and you say, listen here, this can have a price on, let's not use my tires, they're a bit big. Let's use, 185, 60, 50s. Because you saw that's printed on the tire, that's what you ask. When they give you a price and you go, thank you, phone down. Next one, until you find the cheapest, more or less, that they've got stock, they can fit quite quickly, and that's where I'm going to go. Or 15 words, so that I may serve you better. Would you mind if I ask you a few questions? Sure. What kind of vehicle is it? Who drives this vehicle? How often does it stay outside versus inside? What type of roads do you use? Oh, your wife actually uses it to take the kids to the school. Surely it's very important for you then to have the right tires on your vehicle. Oh yes, absolutely. So is safety more important for you? Is handling? Does your wife drive quite quickly? Does she drive normal speed? All these questions. I'm now seeing this person as a specialist, as somebody who's really got my interest at heart. And then they can say something to me like, well, so because your wife's in it and your kids are in it all the time and you're doing a variety of different kind of vehicles, I can offer you the cheapest, but I'm really not going to do that. I think what you need to take are these tires. They are going to be a little bit more expensive, but for safety and what you've told me, I think that's the best service. When can I come in and put them on? Because you've established your credibility. You're not just trying to sell me a product. And because you seem to know what you're talking about by asking me the questions, not giving me the answers, asking me the questions, I'm going, I don't have to look any further. I have to go elsewhere because you have the expertise that I'm looking for. So make sure that you ask the questions. The question should also not just be yes or no. Are you interested in buying gap cover? No. That's the end of the day, the deal, isn't it? So open-ended questions, get people to actually talk. How would you like to move forward? What will be the best outcome for you? The nice, softer languaging that speaks to me, that's what customers really want to hear. That's what they want to focus on. So you want to get really good at asking questions. So let's think about, how do we traditionally sell? And the first one is typically sit back and wait. And of course, present company always excluded, but there's maybe somebody in your organization. Order taker. I'm waiting for the business to come to me. I'm waiting for the phone to ring. I'm waiting for other people to hopefully want what I have to offer. And I'm just going to take the order. And it's going to be simple, and it's going to be easy, and it's going to be no problem. A lot of retailing used to be that, and you still see it today. I'm astounded. I was walking in the waterfront in Cape Town the other day, and through a very quiet kind of craft market. What are all the salespeople doing? Playing on their phone, not engaging with the people walking past, hoping that I'm going to interrupt them on their phone and say, excuse me, would you mind actually serving me so I can buy a product? Order takers. Even in retailing, those days have gone forever. If you're not engaging with the client, you're finished. You cannot sit back and take orders anymore. Used to work. Retailing was a prime example, as I said, doesn't work anymore. The other one is product pushers. Good old call center agents. Could care less if I actually want to need the product. They have a quota, they have a target, and they're pushing that product no matter what. Now, in call center business, it's just a volume business. Nothing against call centers, there's a place for them. But it's a volume business. And doesn't care. If I don't buy, no problem for the next one, hopefully they'll buy. Again, it used to work quite nice. It doesn't work as well anymore. You can't just keep hammering the same hammer on the same nail over and over again. It doesn't work. So, used to work, product pusher, if that's you or somebody in your organization, maybe review it a little bit. The third one is the overseller. No matter what your need is, my product will do it. In fact, it won't just do it, it will beat everybody else, it will be better, it will be cheaper. And that BS meter that we all have that's getting better for most people because of the internet, because of research, because of awareness, going, yeah, it sounds too good to be true. I don't buy it. You're overselling the ability for my need to be matched with your product. You're overselling it. And therefore, I'd rather back away. Now, these three used to work quite well, but now we have to evolve to what was always probably more important. And that's the problem solver. Remember, as a salesperson in selling, you are professionally helping me to buy. You're solving my problem. I have a need, you have a solution. I didn't know I have a need, you have a solution. I'm going to have a need, you have a solution. It's helping me bridge that gap by solving my problem. How do you even know I have a problem? The sales superpower. Asking questions. How do you get me to understand that I need to come over to your side with my problem because it will be solved there? By asking the questions. And the technique, if we go back there, is pretty simple. Because here's the process. So let's look at it. You ask a question. What happens? They give an answer. You ask a question. They give an answer. You ask a question. There's silence. What do we as salespeople do? Talk more. No. I've asked you a question. I've asked you 3, 4, 5 questions in a row. I've asked you a question. And whilst you're thinking, because the more you ask me the questions, the more I'm actually thinking about it. The first 1 or 2, I just give you an answer because, well, I'm not really thinking about it. But now I'm starting to hear that you have an interest in me. You're actually trying to figure this out. Maybe I should think about it. Go back to the car example and the tires. Maybe I must reflect on these things that you're asking me because it's important. So if there's a pause, you wait. You wait. In sales, you should have this mantra: wait. Why am I talking? Why am I telling? Why am I tasking? I need to be keeping quiet, asking questions, waiting for the answer. Then all of a sudden, I get an answer, and a person asks me a question back. Well, how does this work? How much does this cost? How will this serve my need? That's what we call a buying signal. Not to go in for the kill, but a buying signal. There's some interest. Brilliant. Now I'll go back into establishing a deeper need until we're ready to move forward. Because then you've spent such a lot of time with me to get the rapport right, to get the trust right, to get the needs analysis right. I'm eventually going to say to you, well, how do we do this? When do we start? When can you deliver? Have you got 10 of them? What is the case may be? So you ask a question, they answer. Buying signal when it starts to go the other way around. They ask a question, and then that same process again. And that's your superpower. Really make sure that you get into problem-solving mode. You're never just going to be these three out salespeople. Let's think about who is the salesperson in your organization. Now, if you're a really small organization, the entrepreneur often is everything. The minute we get more evolved and sophisticated, we appoint salespeople. And then eventually we have sales divisions and sales managers and sales directors, and they're in sales. Here's the reality. Everybody is in sales. Because if you do not have sales, you do not have a business. And yes, maybe other people are not directly at the coalface with the customer, but they're involved in the selling process. And you'll see where that becomes relevant when we talk a little bit about our own fund. So I need to ensure that everybody has the same mindset around solving problems. Very important point. Well, so let's think, where did you go to learn about sales? Yes, I said it's an innate human ability, it's a fundamental ability, but where did we go to hone our skills? Now, here's the interesting thing for me. No business can survive on the planet if we don't do any sales. Yet, how many sales courses have you done? How many sales books have you read? How many seminars have you gone to? What have you actually done to get better at that fundamentally important thing? Now, Jeffrey Gitomer, you can take this down. I've just tried to narrow it and simplify it for you as much as possible. The Canadian, let's call him the godfather of sales. There's many others, preceding Jeffrey, maybe Brian Tracy, still as relevant today as ever. Let's say Jeffrey Gitomer wrote the book, The Sales Bible, the Little Red Book of Selling, and everything else. Does a daily blog, brilliant newsletter, practical sales stuff. So whether you subscribe to his newsletter, read one of his books, doesn't matter which one of his videos, just go to the good old internet, type in Jeffrey Gitomer, and get that information. And it suits our market really well. And that's why I always recommend Jeffrey. I love him. I think it's practical, so honest, raw and to the point. But Jeffrey says, all things being equal, people like doing business with people they know, like, and trust. All things being not so equal, people like doing business with people they know, like, and trust. And that's why it's easy to point fingers at the government for all their nepotism, but that's the reality. I like to do business with people I know, people I like, people I trust. And Jeffrey definitely helps with some of those practicalities there. So well worth the investment of time and or money to go through some of these things. The other one is actually an American guy living in Australia, Ari Gelper, talks about trust-based selling. And really, if you want to get good at questions, you want to get good at what to ask, what to do, how to say things, how to make sure that you're adding value, making sure that you're able to solve those problems and get the business, then Ari is the master. As I said, there's many others you could look at, but I thought for today, just try and keep it simple. If you're not going to invest the time here, then you're going to be mediocre. And if sales is such a fundamentally important thing in your business, then maybe I'd spend some time and get good at it. And they do a lot of stuff that's free, or read their books at least for a couple of grand. It would be well worth the investment. But you cannot just sit back and say, well, what am I going to do about it? How's this going to work? The other reality is when the follow-up side of sales comes in, we get to the point too quickly where we back off. We've issued a quote. We don't even phone to find out if somebody's got the quote. We've sent the invoice. Later on in the process, we don't even follow up to find out if they've got it. So that follow-up part, remember I said, the hourglass gets quite big at the follow-up, is critical. People are busy. It's not that I don't want to do business with you. It's not that I don't know, like, and trust you. It's that I am busy just like you are. I've seen your email. I've seen your correspondence. I've got the voicemail, but I haven't had a chance yet to follow up. So 2 quick tips there. The first one is jab, punch, jab, punch. What's that got to do with selling? 2-pronged approach, always. I've sent you a proposal on email. I'm going to text you or WhatsApp you and say, Harry, sent you the proposal. It's in your inbox. I've left a message for you because I can't get hold of you. I'm going to leave a message. My message is going to say, I'm also going to send you an email. I'm now going to send an email. Whatever the mechanisms are that are relevant for you in your business. But you do a jab punch motion so that you've got a 2-pronged approach on that follow-up. So if I miss the one, or I'm busy on the one, I've got another. And the reality of email, everybody's email is busy, but they're generally on top of their WhatsApps, all their messages. Better to tell me to go look for something that might be in my inbox. So it's that kind of approach that you will find is relevant. The other one is you work with people and follow up until they get the answer, which is either yes or not now. Because very rarely, if you've gone far enough down the sales process, is the answer no. Very rarely. The reality is, once you've gone through that sales process, it's, I don't know, I haven't had time to look, I haven't quite decided, I haven't spoken to my gatekeeper, my wife, I haven't made the time, it's not a priority, I can't afford it now. It's never really no. So I have to work with somebody and follow up until I get a yes or a no, not now, or if it's really that it is going to be a definite no, then get to the no. For me, a no is never a no finally. It's just a great, I'll follow up with you again in 3 months. Because your circumstances might have changed. Whilst we can't bridge your need and my value offering now, in 3 months, the timing might be right. So it's timing that's important. But I don't want to be strung out for 3 months in the process. I rather want to get to no, not now, not quite, whatever, great. Then I know to not fall into that. Because Ari Gelb also talks about hopium. We hope the worst drug in the world that somebody will buy from us and will buy. But they said they were interested. I have sent the email. I have sent the quote. It's hopium. They're never going to buy because you haven't got them through the process far enough. So you want to get that out right up front. So your duty when you're professionally helping people to buy is take them through a process of making decisions, even if those decisions are no. And I don't have to waste my time and money following up on them. Don't have to try and hide away, feel guilty, all the rest of it, because that's what happens. You laugh, you've been there, avoiding people purely because I just haven't had the time to take the call. Now I'm feeling guilty because I'm indebted to them because they've done their bit, they've followed up, now I'm trying to avoid them. So don't take it personally, you've done it. Rather just keep following up. Always being pleasant, I'm just helping you make a decision. That decision can be yes or no. No problem. And if I know my numbers, we'll talk about that in marketing, in the next lunch and learn session, then I know my numbers, then I know if it's a problem, if you said no or not. Because there's a whole conversion analysis that one can do to make sure that you're on track. Okay, so 2 brilliant resources. So here's a bit of home fun, not homework. In our business, we don't believe in homework, we believe in home fun. So let's talk about home fun. What do you need to go do to find a way to get better at sales? And this is pretty simple. And people try and make it very elaborate and create systems and pivot tables on Excel. No, a piece of pen and paper. From when somebody first engages with us, the phone rings, they walk in, they leave a note on the website, whatever the case may be. From when that happens, till when the money hits my bank account, who does what, when, and how in that process? Because often what you find is the perception is that somebody else is following up and nobody's following up. The perception is we know that we've done the work, we should invoice. Well, that's not happening. We've sent the invoice, somebody will follow up on the debt. No, that whole process, from when they've shown an interest all the way through to them actually buying. What are those steps? Because then I can see there's too many steps. Maybe there's too few steps. Maybe people don't know what those steps are. Maybe nobody's taking accountability for the steps. Maybe we need some more follow-up. Maybe we need some more trust building. Maybe we need to send information ahead of meetings so people can actually do their research and reading and understanding before we actually meet. Because I think we have this obsession in the world, it's not just a South African thing, but obviously here talking South Africa, that let's meet for coffee. Two absolute strangers, we're going to meet for coffee, and then we're going to go automatically and have a relationship thereafter. No, we're strangers. Let's warm up that relationship a little bit with sharing of information, maybe a phone call, maybe an email, maybe a brochure, whatever, until we get to meet. Because then when we actually get to meet, we're talking business. So map out that process, because you will see the gaps in that process. You will see where there's nobody following up. You will see where we're going in for the kill too quickly, or where we're actually wasting time and opportunity because we could get the business a lot quicker. And then you apply everything we've spoken about today in that process. Professionally helping people to buy. Focusing on the emotion, not just the logic. Using your superpower of questioning to become a problem solver. Bridging my need or perceived need or anticipated need with your solution. You make sure that you're doing a lot of rapport building, don't have to do much selling, a lot of follow-up, and you get better at selling by at least investigating Jeffrey Gitomer and Ari Galper. Of course, you can look at a whole range of others. There's some other brilliant ones on there. And then you've mapped out the process, you keep tweaking the process, you keep refining the process, you keep training that process, you eventually document that process, and Bob's your uncle, Mary's your auntie, and you're good to go. So hopefully that's been useful. Hopefully that's given you some insight into what we get to do every single day. As a business and executive coaching company, our sole role is to ensure that we make more profitable, more sustainable businesses. It's as simple as that. And we do that every day. So if you're already on the webinar registration list, you'll receive the reminder for next month. As I said, next month we're doing marketing, and not marketing like you would think. A little bit of a twist. As you've seen in the series, there's always a little bit of a twist in how we approach things, practically and relevant for you. So make sure that you attend next week, or next month, sorry, the second Tuesday, again, 1 o'clock to 1:30, 20 to 2, thereabout. And if you're listening to this as a recording, or if you're listening to this on Facebook Live, make sure that you go to impact.actioncoach.com, impact.actioncoach.com, and actually register under the event section for this, and then you'll get the automated reminders. On YouTube, Action Coach Southern Africa is the name for all our different social media platforms. But on YouTube, you'll find all the previous ones where we spoke about things like time and team and finance and stuff like that. But there you can get the backlog of these lunch and learn sessions. So hopefully this has been a valuable investment of your time. You've got a lot of focus for your sales focus for the month. You've learned something, you've got some home fun to go do, and really been a privilege to be able to share with you. So hopefully that has added value to you and your business, and we'll see you again next month in the marketing session, which will then help you generate the leads that you've already got good at converting. Pleasure to have you on board today. Good luck. Cheerio. Bye-bye.